You just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pat Donahue.
Is 18 coaches long. Said the train I ride 18 coaches long. And the woman I love, she's just now leaving home. Said, hey mama, what's the matter now? Said, hey mama, what's the matter now?
Welcome into the Logan Zone.
Yeah, you're trying to quit me.
Coming to you from Pine Knoll Shores, America today. Was out on the water early this morning and caught what did we catch? About 10 bluefish. My friend Randy Bailey and I were out early. Had a beautiful day on the water. Caught some dinner for Randy. I don't eat bluefish, so we caught Randy dinner and had a beautiful time. Got back in and time for the show. So if you want to get in on the show, and I'm hope to hear from you. The number is 252-561-4263, or you can tweet me a question at Steve Logan Show on X, formerly known as Twitter, I guess. Show being produced by Philip Pilkington. Philip, how you doing, buddy? You there?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, Coach, but not as good as you because I wasn't out on the water catching 10 fish today. So I'm doing well, but yeah, I'd trade places with you if you want to next Thursday.
Well, I'll tell you, Philip, I'll tell you how you can achieve what I achieved today. 47 years of 3rd down and 6. Got it? Will eventually get you to where you have some free time on your hands. And now I've achieved that, and I do love living down here. And it's, just absolutely what a blessing. What a fortunate thing to be able to live in Eastern North Carolina on the coast. It's absolutely beautiful. So anyway, we've got some things to discuss and cuss and look at. And we are on Facebook Live. We're on, you can type in 94.3 The Game. We're on YouTube. Do the same thing. We're all over the place. Want to remind you that the best caller will receive a Bojangles tailgate package consisting of an 8-piece special with all the fixings and trimmings. So who was our winner last week, Philip? Who we got?
Charles Tudor.
Charles won the package, huh? Okay, well, that's a good deal. So best caller of the day, 252-561-4263. You get, you're going to get your free dinner or tailgate package. Wherever you want to get it and take it, that's up to you. You're in charge. So let's take, again, I like to start out, I know that here in Eastern North Carolina, you can get East Carolina centric, and there's plenty of that to go around. But I'd like, I like keeping an eye out on the national scene and keeping folks up to date with what's going on. And there's a couple of things that are starting to shape up. As we all know now, we're having a 12-team tournament at the end of this this football season for the first time ever. Thank goodness. We're going to actually have, a true champion. And this is kind of exciting. It's about, 30 years overdue, thanks to the NCAA that never can get out of its own way. But finally, through a lot of pressure, really from the heavyweights in college football that basically threatened to tell the NCAA that they were not going to participate in the NCAA anymore, the NCAA said, okay, let's do what you guys want. And this is where we are so far. There's going to be a 12-team tournament at the end of the year. And just a quick recap, the top 4 conferences, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, SEC, they all have an automatic qualifier. So there's 4 slots that will be taken. And by the way, those 4 slots get a first round bye. That leaves 8 teams to be invited. And those will come off of national rankings. There is 1 slot that has been graciously reserved for the highest ranked group of 5 football team. As we sit here today, that would be Memphis, I believe. All right. No, I'm sorry. As we sit here today, actually, Philip, isn't Northern Illinois ranked above Memphis?
I can look it up for sure, but Northern Illinois is somewhere in the low 20s.
I think Northern Illinois might be the highest ranked group of 5 team. But as we sit here, I think I was looking at the future schedules, and it was my projection it has a chance to be Memphis. But I think Northern Illinois, due to their upset of Notre Dame, they may be ranked they may be the highest ranked group of 5 team in the country right now.
Yeah, they're the only ranked group of 5 team right now in the country at 23.
Well, there you go. So I'm sitting here looking, I don't think that's going to hold up as we move forward because Northern Illinois is playing in the MAC, and the strength of schedule thing I think is going to end up getting them a little bit. If Memphis, that's playing the AAC, which is Philip, let me ask you a pop quiz. Of the group of 5 conferences, would you put the American at the top of that group, strength of schedule-wise?
Yeah, I think top to bottom they would be. Boise's pretty good, but I don't think the Mountain West as a whole has what Memphis, UTSA, South Florida, and Tulane provided for the American.
I agree. That's how I feel. But I will say this. We all know, I've said this before, the top 25, particularly early in the year, is really nothing but a wet T-shirt contest. That's all it really is. And, like Notre Dame. Okay, well, Notre Dame's going to get ranked because they've got a great-looking wet T-shirt. And that's all it is. And so the point I'm making about that is that Boise State has got some street cred because of what they've built up over the years. And even though they might be in a weaker conference, if Boise State got up and running again like they used to, they would probably be a contender every year to get that slot in the group of 5 slot that's reserved for this 12-team playoff. But anyway, as we sit here, it's Memphis, it's Northern Illinois. They both they're in good shape if they continue on to have a shot at this thing. Well, what's happening in the other Big 4 conferences? Well, ACC, what's that shaping up right now? What's it looking like? And as you look at the ACC, really and truly, the only place that's going to land probably is Miami or Clemson. I don't see anybody else in the ACC that's going to be capable of, going undefeated in the ACC like Florida State did last year. The wheels have come off at Florida State at an astonishing turn of events. I mean, and once again, guess what? It's almost ad nauseum. I'm talking about the quarterbacks, and Florida State made a mistake in their quarterback pursuit, and the young man that they chose, basically, they went out and bought the kid for, you can call it what you want, but they chose this young man that was dubious at best at Clemson and at Oregon State. Won some games, but he's just not what you're looking for, and he has not gotten it done. He's just not accurate enough. The wheels have come off at Florida State. My point being, it's left Miami and Clemson standing as we sit here in week 4 coming up? So out of the ACC, you're looking at Miami or Clemson, and both of those teams, they're going to obviously. Philip, look on your Google and tell me if Miami and Clemson, do they even play head to head this year? If they do, that will be a huge football game. If they don't, that's going to have a lot of ramifications as well. But as soon as you get that, let me know.
They do not.
But
so their only chance of meeting would be on December the 7th in Charlotte if they would both make the conference championship game.
Okay. Well, If that happened, you could probably see both of them getting into the tournament. Obviously, one of them will. And that would leave someone else, that would leave two for the ACC. In the meantime, the other conference that is, struggling for relevancy is the Big 12. And in the Big 12, as we sit here, you're talking about Kansas State, University of Central Florida, which, again, that pains me to say that because I think I was coaching at East Carolina when Central Florida started football. It's either in the early 90s when they began the program, or it was the early 90s when they moved up to Division I, one or the other. But to see Central Florida, bypass East Carolina in this fashion and be doing what they're doing, it just blows my mind at the opportunities that have come and gone for East Carolina. And I don't know that they'll ever come again, but we shall see. It'll take another tectonic shift in the college landscape for East Carolina to move into one of these Big Four conferences. I just don't see it happening now, but there was an opportunity once upon a time, and it's been done by UCF. They are undefeated and rolling along in the Big 12 along with Utah and Oklahoma State. Now, Utah and Oklahoma State are going to play a football game this weekend, I believe. And that's going to have that's going to put a ripple in the water relative to who's going to be the representative in the Big 12. But as we sit here, I don't know that the Big 12 will have two people in this 12-team conference or 12-team tournament. I think, as I mentioned before, I think the ACC will have two, and that's if Miami and Clemson don't lose any more football games unless it's to each other. Clemson already had the one huge setback, but there's enough time to overcome that. We'll see how that plays out. In the meantime, that takes us to the Big Ten. And you're looking at Ohio State, University of Southern California, Penn State, who I think once again is a bit of an imposter. I think James Franklin's done a good job at Penn State, but I think the glass ceiling is going to show up again, and it's just not going to be enough to where he can break through and make a dent in the Ohio State machine, which is where the Big Ten is this year. I think Michigan is a flawed football team. They're nothing like they were last year, and in large part due to the exit of Jim Harbaugh and that staff. A large chunk of that staff that had a lot of impact on the program left and went to the Chargers. And I think they're in a rebuild of sorts at Michigan. I think it's doable. I think you can rebuild Michigan. They've got the street cred to go out and buy whatever football team they need to buy, along with kids who want to go there. Speaking of buying a football team, Philip, there was a little blip came across the ticker tape concerning NIL money this week. And here's what it said, and this will take the college landscape by storm. The University of Tennessee put a 10% additional charge on all of their season tickets, I guess all of their tickets, of which they've got a 106,000 seat stadium. They put a 10% extra charge on next year's tickets. That 10% extra money is going to go to pay the football team. So, Philip, what do you think one ticket to a football game at the University of Tennessee costs? I couldn't even guess. You got any ideas?
I'm guessing if you count the club level, which is going to bring it up, the cheap seats will bring it down. It's probably a little north of $200 just because, you got those $400 and $500 club tickets, and 10% on those, you're talking an extra $50.
Okay, let's just say you're getting on the average then $35 a ticket, $30 a ticket extra. What's 30 times 106,000?
3.1 million, almost 3.2 million.
Okay, perfect. Well, there you go. All you athletic directors, I know all the athletic directors in the country are glued to this radio broadcast right now. That was sarcasm. But there it is, Mr. Athletic Director. There's another revenue stream. All these guys are going to have to get creative. And this makes perfect sense to me for this reason. The kids are out there working as hard as they can. They do deserve to get paid. However much you want to pay them, that's up for debate. But it also is incumbent if you're a big East Carolina supporter and you don't give money to the NIL, which 90% of the fans don't, and it's understandable. A lot of the fans are just out there saving their money to get a ticket anyway. But if 10% of that ticket, if it's added money, 10%, that's added to the ticket, and that goes directly to support the payments that are necessary to have a decent football program in the year 2024 and moving forward. That is a good, solid idea. Now, the fans that are, they've bought the right to bitch about the third down call and scream at the coach. They've bought that right. Well, guess what? You're invested now in paying the right guard and the tight end and the quarterback and everybody else on the team. That makes a lot of sense to me. And the moment that came across the internet, it was a ding, ding, ding moment for me. I went, yep, that makes sense. And it makes sense when the girls' softball team takes the field, and if they can sell 10 tickets, doesn't matter, put 10% on that too to help them out and to help all the athletes out. And of course, that has limited application, but it's always been that way anyway. It's really just the revenue sports that are going to drive all of this anyway. It's the revenue sports that paid for everything anyway. I will never forget taking the East Carolina football team to a Liberty Bowl. And at the time, I don't know, we got something close to $1 million, which back in 1994 was all the money in the world. And I came home and I was all excited about things that we might be able to do for the football program. And the first thing we did is build a new dugout for the girls' softball team at East Carolina. That's a matter of fact. So moving forward, every ticket that's sold for the basketball program, the football program, the baseball programs, baseball has become it's not a money-making sport at most universities. I think I saw sometime where there's only about 10 or 12 schools in the country where baseball is actually in the black. And, guess what? Baseball can help. You can help themselves in some cases. I know it could help themselves at the local schools that we're talking about. East Carolina, North Carolina State, North Carolina, there are people that go to those games and pay for money for the tickets. Add 10%. Give it to the program. Pay the players. Excellent idea. So anyway, in the Big Ten, you're looking at Ohio State, Southern California, Penn State, and Oregon. Southern California is of great interest because if they are going to play defense like we talked about last week, if they are going to play defense like they did last week, this will be a breakthrough for Lincoln Riley and for the air raid offenses that are out there. This will be interesting. We'll get to the SEC, which is the last piece of the puzzle, which is pretty much everybody in the conference as we sit here. Right after this break. Y'all stay tuned.
Bagging back to Grandma's kitchen, wishing I could be right.
At CCS Equipment Sales, we're proud to be your one-stop certified Takeuchi construction equipment dealer. With more than 25 years in business, we understand the value of your time and work hard to provide solutions for you. From landscapers, grading, concrete, and land management contractors, whether it's Takeuchi excavators, track loaders, wheel loaders, and a wide range of attachments, we'll get what you need when you need it. Give our Aiden location a call, 252-712-1033, or visit ccsequipment.com.
Medlin Chevrolet is your trusted Ayton dealership. Medlin Chevrolet has made their home in Ayton, serving Pitt, Lenoir, and surrounding areas for 7 years. Because of local support and dedicated employees, we are growing. Just breaking ground on our brand new service facility to serve you even better. Medlin Chevrolet has an incredible pre-owned vehicle inventory. Our staff are courteous and service-minded professionals that provide value and integrity Monday through Saturday. Find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle today at Medlin Chevrolet, Highway 11, Ayton.
Why just be a customer when you can be a priority? At North Carolina Farm Bureau, we're focused on your specific needs. That's why we have local agents working for you in every county across the state, offering competitive rates and fast, friendly service. It's more than insurance. It's the kind of treatment you deserve. Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Greenville, contact Bill King at 252-413-8850. That's Bill King at 252-413-8850.
If you need roofing or gutter work on your home in eastern North Carolina, you need Jim Wells and his team at Wells Roofing and Gutters. Here's Curtis James from Pirate Crawl Space Services in Greenville.
It's been very positive, just very responsive, responds in a timely manner, and the work is done really quickly.
When you hire Jim Wells, you can believe the job will be done right, and it'll be quality work. So if you need roofing or gutter work, you should contact Jim Wells at 252-227-8403.
Hey, Pirate fans, take a trip, consolidate debt, update your home. Whatever you're planning, a personal loan up to $5,000 can help. Coach Logan here from my friends at National Finance Company. With NFC, you can get cash now. Loans up to $5,000, same-day cash, and fixed monthly payments. If you need to borrow money, trust the company that has been helping Carolinians for more than 50 years. National Finance Company. Apply at any of their 24 North Carolina locations or at nfcmoney.com.
Get back to work, back to play, and back to the everyday with Orthopedics East and Sports Medicine Center in Greenville. Ortho East specializes in advanced care for patients with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, debilitating joint diseases, and total joint replacements. Schedule your appointment today by going online to orthoeast.com or by calling us at 252-757-BONE. And remember, our weekend extended care clinic is open from 10 to 2 p.m. for walk-ins. Orthopedics East, official team physicians of ECU Athletics.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves Tiebreakers.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now so are you. Back into the Logan Zone, brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles on 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Everybody hits you right where you live. Give them an inch and they'll take a mile, stealing you blind while we're wearing a smile. It ain't never enough. It ain't never enough. It ain't never enough. Never enough. Time's getting tough, and it ain't never enough. But do what you can to keep floating the boat.
That's an appropriate song for college athletics. It's never enough. You know, growing up in Oklahoma, I was kind of raised an Oklahoma State fan. My dad played football over at Oklahoma State before World War II. He played about close to 2 years, and then he had to go win a war. But growing up in Oklahoma, I grew up an Oklahoma State fan, as I was saying. And, of course, Oklahoma University was, and still is, you know, one of the top 5 football factories in the world. And I watched Oklahoma State football year after year after year. And I remember one year they finally won about 7 games. Most of the time they'd win 5 and 6. Never, ever, ever would they beat Oklahoma University. And then one day, a guy named T. Boone Pickens that owned all the oil in the Permian Oil Basin came in, and basically he was an Oklahoma State graduate. And he came in and just took all of his money and put it into Oklahoma State University football. And for you younger generations like Philip, again, remind me, how old are you?
26.
Okay, so in your lifetime, basically Oklahoma State University has been a 8, 9, 10, 11 win football team. Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah.
So and what I'm saying to you is the sole reason for that is the oil billionaire T. Boone Pickens came in and put his money in Oklahoma State football, much like Phil Knight did to the Oregon program. He just decided, Phil Knight decided, hey, we're going to make Oregon football special, and it is. And what got me off on that line of thought is the fact that, in this day and age, that's doable now for anybody. Anybody. Virginia Tech, East Carolina, you name it, Northern Illinois. If you go out and find that one guy rather than a collective of people, you find one guy that's got enough money and enough passion for any one school, much like locally Wendell Murphy did at North Carolina State. And this was before the NIL. And I asked a North Carolina State friend of mine if Wendell was still deeply, deeply involved, and they said they don't think so. That, he did what he could do, and Lord knows he made a huge dent in North Carolina State's footprint. But in this day and age, this is where things are still available. If any school out there has this combination, an aggressive, forward-thinking, interested president and one booster that has, millions upon millions of dollars that he wishes to invest in that direction of football, you could put a football program together so fast and rise the ranks. I mean, that's the beauty of what's available out there now. There are no glass ceilings left for anybody. Because, for instance, if I was the head coach at Southern Mississippi right now, and those two elements came together where I found a deep-pocketed booster that would give me a blank check and a president that was aggressive, I would immediately, in 18 months, I would have the second-string football team from the University of Alabama lined up and playing football for me at Southern Mississippi. And I would shock the world. And somebody's going to do that. Okay, that's going to happen because, when T. Boone Pickens did this for Oklahoma State University or Phil Knight did it for Oregon, they had to do it through NCAA regulations, guidelines, all the, you got to tiptoe here and tiptoe there. But now all of those regulations are gone. And you can go directly to the head coach, directly to the player, directly to other people's rosters. Whether that's ethical or not doesn't matter. You can just simply start the recruiting process, which I understand the way it's done. You call Johnny Jones from Alabama that's sitting on the bench, but you know dang good and well he's a great player. And you say, hey, Johnny, if you enter the portal, we're not telling you to, but if you did, you're a lock to come here for X amount of dollars. And then you just sit back and watch. Johnny either does it or he doesn't. But you put enough hooks in the water, and you could put together, you would need about 36 highly paid football players on a 85, 90-man roster. And Lord help us. I'm just daydreaming here, but somebody's going to do that. Remember where you heard it first. So anyway, to finish up our little national roundup here, I got through the group of five. We talked about Memphis and Northern Illinois. We talked about the ACC, Miami, Clemson, Big 12, Kansas State, Central Florida, Utah and Oklahoma State are going to have a battle this weekend. It's going to be a separator. Takes us into the Big Ten, Ohio State, Southern Cal, Penn State, and Oregon. That brings us to the SEC, and we're talking about who is in position or positioning to make a run to get into this 12-team tournament at the end of the year. Well, Georgia, yes. Alabama, yes. Ole Miss, yes. Tennessee, yes. There's a great human interest story at work in the Tennessee-Oklahoma football game. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But Tennessee is an option to make it into this tournament. Texas, yes. Oklahoma, as we sit here, yes, but I think that's a flawed football team. And there's something's going to show up this weekend. And again, that has to do with Tennessee. Missouri is a candidate. Texas A&M and LSU are still candidates, even though they have one loss already. But they were early season losses. And I think LSU's got defensive issues that are going to hold them back. Texas A&M, I think, is going to get better as the year goes on. And the coach from Duke that took that job, Coach Elko, I'm a big believer in this guy. And I think the more he gets his culture ingrained week by week at Texas A&M, I know for a fact that it's a loaded roster, loaded. And so as we sit here, the SEC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams in the SEC are eligible to fill up these brackets that have got to be filled by somebody. So having said that, Philip, I'm going through my stack again. I ran into an article, and this is interesting. So again, talking about this 12-team tournament, the way that it's built, you've got 4 automatic champions that get a bye into the tournament. So that leaves 8 teams to fill the rest of the bracket, and those 8 teams have to play each other in the first round. So if you took last year's rankings, this is what it would look like if you plugged it into this year. You had Michigan winning the Big Ten, Washington winning the Pac-12, which doesn't even exist anymore. Texas won the Big 12, and Alabama won the SEC. Those 4 schools would have gotten into the tournament automatic with a first-round bye. Here's what would have happened after that, and this is where it gets interesting. Number 5 last year was Florida State, and we remember the brouhaha. They felt like they should have been number 4. But Florida State was number 5. You know who they would have played in the first round last year as the number 12 seed, which goes to the highest ranked group of 5 football team. Last year, Florida State would have played Liberty. Here's what's further interesting about this. Liberty would have gotten the automatic 12th bid, being the highest ranked group of 5 team. Do you know who number 12 in the country was last year, truly number 12? Oklahoma University would have been knocked out of the tournament due to the automatic bid given to the group of 5 highest ranked team. So this is going to create some wailing and gnashing of teeth if you end up number 12 in the country this coming year. Because guess what? A Northern Illinois, as we sit here, or who? Memphis, Liberty, they could be the highest ranked team, and they're going to knock number 12 out and get that automatic bid. I find that very interesting. And I also think it's an unintended consequence, but that's the way it's going to work. Last year, number 6, Georgia, would have played number 11, Ole Miss. Number 7, Ohio State, would have played Penn State. That would have been 2 more interconference rematches, so to speak, or at least a matchup within the conference. And number 8 would have played number 9, and that would have been Oregon versus Missouri. So that's the way things are shaping up on the national scene. And we've got some big games coming up this week that will impact this entire conversation. We'll get to those whenever we get back. If you want to get in on the show, and I'd love to hear from you, 252-561-4263. Best caller receives a Bojangle tailgate package consisting of an 8-piece special. Y'all give me a call. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
Yes, it's a long, long time from October to May.
Get ready, Greenville. Jaggers is going to open on Memorial Drive in front of Academy Sports soon. What are you excited to try? And what sets Jaggers apart? Everything, and I mean everything, is made from scratch. Burgers, chicken, and salads like you've never tasted. Shoestring fries, too. It's a fun environment. You just wait. If you haven't been to Jaggers, you just have to taste it for yourself. Nothing is prepackaged. You're going to love Jaggers. Coming soon to Memorial Drive in front of Academy Sports in Greenville.
Anson Belt & Buckle offers a micro-adjustable, holeless belt, giving you the perfect fit every time. As an ECU alumni-owned business since 2009, Anson Belt is proud to be the official belt of East Carolina Athletics. Looking for a new belt for yourself or a special pirate? Visit AnsonBelt.com to see why over 30,000 customers have given their Anson Belt a 5-star review. With dozens of materials to choose from and thousands of possible combinations, you'll find the belt for every occasion, especially game day, at AnsonBelt.com.
Looking for outdoor storage, maybe a she shed, man cave, tiny home, or greenhouse? If so, East Carolina Outdoor Products is your one-stop shop. They carry wood sheds, small to large, all customizable online. East Carolina Outdoor Products also has a full line of custom steel buildings, including carports, garages, workshops, and commercial-graded structures. They're the only company in Eastern Carolina that manufactures, delivers, and sells outdoor storage buildings, and they're pirates. 10 locations in Eastern North Carolina.
Tell them Henry sent you for an additional discount.
Insurance can be complicated, but Flatlands Jessup makes it easy. While some agencies like to give you just enough information to get your signature, our team strives to provide you with total transparency on the policies you're enrolling. We've got a comprehensive online knowledge center that answers any general questions you have. We aim to empower and educate, not gatekeep. If you'd rather not have to think about it, we've got you covered too. Choose our award-winning team. You're choosing peace of mind. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Hey there, Eastern North Carolina. Jeff Stein at Brown & Wood. The Brown & Wood service specials include a tire price match guarantee, a $199 AC Delco front brake pad installation special. We also have a brake rotor rebate of $40 and a synthetic oil change on most vehicles for $89.95. Don't forget, free pickup and drop-off at Brown & Wood. 89 years in business, 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and 1 goal: to make sure you leave a happy customer.
Wear your colors with pride, whether it be ECU or any of the high schools in Pitt County. Stadium Sports on Charles Boulevard has all the merchandise and tailgating gear for the season. Stadium Sports is where the Pirate Nation shops. And it's also the place for hoodies, t-shirts, shorts, and hats to show your support of your favorite Pitt County high school. With tons of brands like Adidas, 1211 Designs, Champion, Cutter & Buck, Costa, Calcutta, and more. You'll find the style you want. Check out the new t-shirts and hats from Pirate Coast. Stadium Sports beside the railroad overpass on Charles Boulevard, Greenville.
Hey folks, Steve Logan here. Hot or cold, Wilson Roads Heating and Air Conditioning has been in the keeping you comfortable business since 1961 on Hooker Road in Greenville. Steve Rhodes, second generation, gives each customer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Wilson Roads is an independent trained comfort specialist dealer specializing in new installations, home replacements, and service agreements on all makes and models. Go online at wilsonroads.com and finance up to 60 months on qualifying equipment. Hot or cold, get the job done right. Wilson Roads, you'll be comfortable in no time.
Coach Steve Logan wants to hear from you. More from Coach Logan in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles on 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Back in the Logan Zone.
Philip, do you have your playlist in front of you?
No, Coach, I don't.
I tell you what, I can almost remember that. That's deep down in my blues collection right there. I can almost remember the name of that artist. Too good, man. It's too good. Quick word about Bill Clark Homes. The Logan Zone is built by Bill Clark Homes. The Clark family are huge supporters of East Carolina athletics, the football stadium, baseball stadium, Pirate Club, you name it. Bill Clark Homes has always been there for East Carolina. The reason they can do all that is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes, neighborhoods in both Greenville area and in Wilmington. You can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions. If you're on the way home and you're in your car, hit 252-561-4263 if you want to get in on the show, or tweet me a question at Steve Logan Show, 252-561-4263. So back to the a little bit of national look at the college football landscape. This weekend, Illinois is undefeated, and they're going to play Nebraska. So this is going to have some meaning in the Big Ten, entry into this tournament. I didn't put Nebraska in the Big Ten contender category. I could get surprised there, which brings up, this Matt Rule, which will ring a bell for all the Panther fans. He had Philip, what was he, the head coach of the Panthers? 2 years?
Yeah, I think a year and a half
3.
or so.
Yeah, it was kind of really quick. And, Matt Rule, I watch these coaches and come and go, as coaches do. And Matt Rule, what he did at Temple, everybody knows that Temple is a graveyard type of football program. And Matt went in there. There have been other people go to Temple and do okay. I think Manny Diaz coach at Temple as well, Philip, the Duke head coach?
I'll look it up.
Look it up. I think Manny may have been at Temple, and he did a good job there too. But anyway, Matt Rule went to Temple and kind of made his bones and got some opportunities. And lo and behold, guess what? He did some time. I think Coach Rule worked under Bill Parcells, and, you get street cred built up when you do stuff like that. And Matt Rule came to the Panthers, and when he got there, and again, I'm not, there's a million ways to skin the cat. And, when I give my leadership conference talks to corporate groups, which I do from time to time, on teamwork or leadership or what have you, there's a million ways to skin the cat. So what I'm getting ready to say is not a criticism, it's an observation. So Matt Rule comes to the Panthers, and I notice immediately everything about Matt Rule was very heavy-handed, really heavy-handed. And as I transitioned out of college football into professional football as a coach, it took me about 15 seconds to figure out you're not going to have a long shelf life being heavy-handed with professional football players. Number one, they're equally as smart as you are about the game. Equally as smart. They study almost as hard as you do. They are desperate men clinging to their paycheck, and they work hard at their craft, and they have one eye on you, the coach. And if you can help them elongate their career, they will do anything for you. And they're enormously fun and exciting to coach. That's what I found out. I worked with a couple of guys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in particular that were real heavy-handed, and I witnessed some really borderline frightening situations on the field, confrontation between coach and player because of the heavy-handedness. And I watched Coach Rule start his run at the Panthers, and my initial gut reaction was, this is not going to go very far. I've been wrong a million times in my life on guessing about circumstances and things, just like everybody else does. I was not wrong on that one. and that thing imploded really quickly. I saw him really meddle. I thought he made a great hire with the offensive coordinator that he hired from LSU, that had just put together a tremendous year, had groomed Joe Burrow into being Joe Burrow. And by the way, here's a little inside baseball for you. Joe Burrow was initially recruited to Ohio State University. You know who the coach was? Urban Meyer. You know what Urban Meyer told Joe Burrow? That he needed to transfer to a Division II school because he couldn't play. Let that marinate for a minute. There's that heavy-handedness I was talking about. And Joe Burrow goes to LSU and puts together one of the most magnificent seasons ever put together offensively by anybody. And the offensive coordinator's name, whose name escapes me right now, but that's who Matt Rule hired. And I thought, well, that's a really good hire. Well, it couldn't be a good hire. He could have hired Bill Walsh, and it was going to be a car wreck, because I saw very quickly that he was really, really, really heavily involved in the offensive side of the thing, down to the play calling. And I got news for you. If you put a bunch of cooks in the kitchen relative to play calling, that train is going to run off the track really quick. If you're the head coach and you observe 2 or 3 games of play calling that you think is suspect or not up to par, fire the play caller and get another one, or do it yourself. But don't ever think you're going to come in and start suggesting plays in the middle of a drive and have any of that turn out well. Play calling is an art, and I did it for too many years. And I know that sometimes in the second series of a play calling series, on second down, I may call a play that makes no sense to anybody. But the reason I made that call, it was what's called an investment call. I invested that second down call in this particular series because on the next series on second down, I was setting up either a play action pass or a shot play off of the same look. But I had to create an illusion. And there's a lot of that goes on with good play callers. All the way back to Matt Rule. The heavy-handedness didn't last very long. So he is given about $40 billion to leave the Panthers, I think. The paycheck was unbelievable, but good for him. Get what you can get. Everybody in the game, get what you can get, because it's not for long for everybody. And Matt Rule is now with Nebraska. And last year he went in and he was laying the foundation. This year they're 3-0. And I don't think they've beaten anybody yet, but they're 3-0. And you can tell they're a good football team. And guess what? It's the same heavy-handedness that imploded his NFL journey that is super, super effective at the collegiate level. Because you can lay down the law at the collegiate level, even in this, era of NIL. And you can lay down the law, it's my way or the highway. And this is how we're going to do it. And there are no dissenting opinions. And if there are, you eliminate them. And that's an effective way to lead at the collegiate level. The higher up the ladder you go, it begins to deteriorate. And I've shared this story before. When I left East Carolina, a phone call came and I went into NFL Europe. And NFL Europe at the time was run by the NFL. It was a true farm team idea to give the second team NFL players on all of the rosters a chance to be a starter and go play what I would call AAA football in Europe for the spring. And it was to develop experience. And then they would leave NFL Europe, the spring league, and go back to their home team and play the fall as a more experienced professional football player. It was a fabulous job. It was my favorite job I ever had because it was truly developmental with a minimal amount of press interference. We were playing in front of 45,000 in the soccer domes in Europe, and it was fantastic football, high grade football. The point I'm making is this: when you're talking about leadership, the first thing that happened to me in that experience, I was contacted. Our head coach, Rick Lance at the time, called me and he said that the Rohan Davey, the backup quarterback at the time to Tom Brady, was going to be allocated to us, the Berlin Thunder at the time. And Coach Belichick invited, kind of told us that Rick Lance and I were to come to New England, and we spent close to a week there observing practice, and I was there. Charlie Weiss was the offensive coordinator at the time, and I was to use the Patriot language to help Rohan Davey, so there wouldn't be any cross-pollination on language. So rather than him learn my language, I learned the Patriot language. And, the plays were the plays, okay? I'd run a bunch of these plays at East Carolina, and I had a language for it, but I learned the Patriot language. But the point I'm making about this is I was kind of shocked, when it's Bill Belichick. Holy cow, I'm walking into the Patriot building. It's Bill Belichick. And I really felt like I was going to walk in and see and feel General Patton. It was nothing like that. The image that had been portrayed about the way Belichick goes about his business was totally misportrayed, okay? And I'm going to hold that. We've got a caller, and we got a break coming up in about 5 or 6 minutes, but we've got a caller, and let's go ahead and get to that, and I'll get back and finish this story here in a second. So who we got on the line, Philip?
We have John from Raleigh.
John. Hey, John, what are you doing, man?
How you doing, Coach? It's really good to talk to you.
Well, where are you in Raleigh right now?
I am in Raleigh, over by Falls Lake.
Well, how are you listening are you on the IBX Media app?
I'm actually watching you on YouTube.
Well, see, when they told me they were going to put us on YouTube and all that, I said, who in the world does that? But hey, here we are. You're doing it, and I got the numbers the other day, and it just amazes me that people do that. This is way out of my generation, but go ahead. I appreciate you watching and listening.
It is me. I'm a little younger. I'm 63, so I'm a little younger, maybe just a day or so younger than you, but
what's your question, John?
Yes, sir. So my question is, Coach, since you were talking about play calling, I watched Holton Ahlers, who's a former ECU quarterback, and I'm someone I know you know very well. And obviously, he made a comment on the call-in show, or the fifth quarter call-in show after the game against Appalachian State, that the first 15 plays or so were scripted, and then after that, it was like the play calling was a little suspect. And I just wondered. And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but I just wondered if just your professional observation and your years of experience, what you thought. And I got a album recommendation for you, CD. It's a cover CD, but it's Greg Allman, Searching for Simplicity, and it's amazing to listen to. Hey, love you. Keep up the great work.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I'm going to write that down because I'm always up for some new music. Okay, Greg Allman. Got it. Okay, well, look, I would say this. When you start critiquing play calling, and there have been bad plays called, no question about it. But again, I've spoken on this subject before. The play calling thing, you're talking to a guy that I think I added up one time, 47 years of coaching. I think I called the plays all but about 5 or 6 of those years. And so I've got a lot of scar tissue built up. And I'm going to put it in perspective one more time and say this. I've called some really great plays that have been sabotaged by a number of ways. It could have been sabotaged by a wide receiver running the wrong route, a left tackle not picking up a blitz, a running back, whatever. And I could go on and on and on. I'm not making excuses for that, but there are reasons for it. Now, hold that thought. The play calling that, let's be specific, what Holton Ahlers was talking about, I think he needs to be very careful when he wanders down that road publicly and starts criticizing the play calling, particularly at his alma mater, for this reason. I watched that game. I watched every bit of it. And I am watching the new offensive coordinator putting in his system. All right? and they're in the early stages of it. Now, he's got his system in, but there are a lot of things going on with his system. And one of the tenets of the Ole Miss template, which is exactly what East Carolina hired, they hired the system. They want to play fast, and they want to react to what the defense does sometimes after the snap. There's a lot of post-snap activity going on with the quarterback relative to hand the ball or throw what's called the RPO, run pass option. But there's also the element of play fast, play fast, play fast. Now, I've got problems with that personally. You know who doesn't have problems with it? Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. They're leading the country in scoring right now. So there's ample evidence that there's juice to this idea. Would I do it that way? 100% no. And I can talk to you about tempo, offensive tempo. In fact, I'm going to write this down, and when we come back after the break, I'm going to talk to you about a way to think about tempo. Right now, East Carolina has one tempo. It's play fast. And it's legitimate. Ole Miss is proving that. They're leading the nation by playing fast and snapping the football on one-word calls. And that's exactly what East Carolina bought and paid for to bring into their system. And it's legitimate. And I think they'll get better at it as the year goes along. In this last football game, I think it hurt them in that particular instance. But it's a legitimate way to go about things. I will stand on any ground and testify to that. When we get back, I'm going to talk to you about tempo, offensive tempo, how I think it's best used. And I'll give you this information based on talking to defensive coordinators that have validated my opinion. Appreciate y'all listening. Come on back on the other side, 252-561-4263. We'll talk about offensive tempo when we get back.
As fall approaches, two things come to mind: football and cooler weather. This is Rachel Davis with Advanced Mechanical Heating and Air. We wanted to thank you for the trust you have put in us this summer. Before you know it, cooler temperatures will arrive, signaling winter is on the way. Don't wait. Prepare now for colder temperatures by scheduling a tune-up. Give us a call today at 252-355-9191 or visit our website, advancedmechnc.com.
I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
ECU football season means Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin spice season. Dunkin' has all your fall favorites: pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin donuts, and pumpkin munchkins, ready for you all week long. Plus, you can have all your pre-game and post-game beverages ready for you with your Dunkin' Rewards mobile app. Get a taste of fall by visiting your local Dunkin' Donuts today, with locations in Greenville, Rocky Mount, Nashville, and Wilson. Say goodbye to summer and hello to fall with Dunkin'.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Remember the days when you could go to your favorite butcher shop and get your pork chops or steaks cut just the way you like them? Well, you still can. Acre Station Meat Farm on Highway 32 in Pinetown, north of Washington, is Eastern Carolina's traditional butcher shop. Acre Station is where you can get your order cut the way you want it. The best sausage, bacon, and pork chops and steaks you'll ever taste. The short trip to Acre Station is worth the drive.
At Acre Station, you just get that good, friendly service you just can't find anymore.
I guarantee it's the best sausage and bacon you'll ever eat.
Hey, it's me again, Gray Fussell, fourth generation winemaker at Duplin Winery and proud alum of ECU. I'm looking forward to Pirate football and, of course, tailgate. I love to see you bring your favorite Duplin wine to your tailgate, tag us on our Instagram or TikTok, and my dad and I will pick our favorite photo from each home game. A winner will be chosen, and you'll get a basket of our best Duplin swag. So get your Duplin wine from your favorite store or come see us at one of our wineries. Go Pirates!
94.3 The Game, WRHD HD1, Farmville, Greenville. Powered by the Ritchie Law Firm, North Carolina's injury lawyers. Visit GottBryan.com.
That's GottBryan.com.
And now, you just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
Morning, stumbled out of bed. I looked at my reflection and I thought I must be dead. I'm older and I'm balder than I was just yesterday. But wait until tomorrow, I wish it was today. Life is what you make it, a blessing or a curse. And man, it could be worse. Yeah, my world is in a nosedive, spinning round and round. Everything was starting up and then it started down. And when my baby left me,
I've said this before, I needed to just be a disc jockey. Best music on the radio is always on this show, and I mean that. So, anyway, down the road we go. I want to finish up quickly. I was talking about leadership and my experience about spending a week with the Patriots, talking about Bill Belichick and thinking that I was going to walk into a heavy-handed George Patton outfit. And it was evident very quickly that Coach Belichick was very approachable, but he just didn't suffer any nonsense. That was really the bottom line on it. If you were a good coach and you were out there running your drills and you knew what you were doing, which almost everybody on that staff did, obviously, he would have been a great man to work for. Now, he may have kept you up there 27 hours a day, which I couldn't have done that. I can't do that. Just not wired that way. But I could have worked for him very quickly and easily. That became apparent to me. He was a high intellect guy. He was curious. He had, I had a couple of conversations with him. He wanted to know, what I had done with David Garrard. There's an interesting story there. Coach Belichick drafted Rohan Davey one spot above David Garrard. They were considering taking David Garrard, and they took Rohan Davey out of LSU. And, of course, that's who I had just finished working with David Garrard a year or two previous, and he asked me all kinds of questions about David Garrard. And, he said, well, we just saw the two physical attributes being almost identical. We took Rohan for these reasons. It doesn't matter, but anyway, he was very curious, very conversational, and very direct. He said, I'd like to see you do this, and this with Rohan, see if you can develop this. And, an aside to that story, we won 10 football games in the World Bowl with Rohan Davey, and he was a NFL Europe Player of the Year. He made me into a good football coach again. So there's a quick story, just finishing up talking about styles of leadership relative to Matt Rule and what's going on in Nebraska. Now, the next thing, tempo, which, I was talking about tempo, which is part of the Ole Miss and now East Carolina way of doing things, all right? And tempo is an interesting thing, and the comment the previous caller made, said that Holton Ahlers, for whatever, criticized the play calling after the first 15 scripted plays. And my reaction to that is the plays were what the plays were, because the way that this Ole Miss template, if you watch Ole Miss play football, well, you watch East Carolina play football, it's the same system.
and I'm sure the language is identical. Okay, but the idea of playing fast, the play calling, when you're playing that fast, there are other elements that come into play. And, I mentioned this on a previous show talking about the anatomy of a touchdown drive. And, when you say, hey, we had a nice touchdown drive, I think in everybody's mind, the thing that comes up is, okay, 9 plays of first down, second down. Hey, we converted on third down. And then it's first down, second down, maybe another first down, second down. Oh, we converted another third down. And like there's 3 or 4 third down conversions in that touchdown drive. That happens about once every 3 football games. That's a hard way to make a living. Touchdown drives consist of explosion plays and maybe 1 third down conversion, maybe 2. It's a little bit different at the pro level, but at the collegiate level, you're looking for explosion plays, and this is where East Carolina fell off the map last weekend. They got the early explosion play when they went empty, put the tight end down the middle, split cover 2, bang, 60-yard touchdown pass, life's good, and we're all happy. Okay? And I used to kid around with people, and I would tell my football team this. I wasn't kidding around. Steve Logan's idea of a really good drive is 1 play, 80 yards. That's a great drive. And that's what I wanted. Didn't happen very often, but the philosophy happened a lot. A 45-yard gain, and then a couple of 10-yarders, and then a touchdown. Okay, the explosion play to me was the holy grail of coaching offense and calling plays. Look, first and second down, that was the precious moment. It wasn't third down for me. First and second down calls, that's where you made your money. Because this is where the play action pass, and when you talk about explosion plays, most of the time, explosion plays come from play action passes. Watch an NFL football game. Do this. Turn on the red zone, which is about all I'll watch on Sunday. I won't watch a pro football game. I'll watch red zone. Because again, I'm still curious, and I'm watching it through a coach's eye. You turn on red zone, and red zone obviously features, scoring plays and high drama moments in any football game. That's what's on red zone. And it just sit down with a little paper and pencil. Oh my goodness, they gained 50 yards on that football play. What kind of football play was it? It was play action. Probably where they moved the quarterback. That's where you make your money. Okay? And it's true at the collegiate level too. Those types of play action passes, and those are first and second down calls. You can't call that play on third down. You're not fooling anybody. Nobody's going to take the bait. It's got to be a first down or a second down medium type call to really set up the explosive plays. Now, having said that, I think that the tempo that East Carolina uses can make for what looks to be, it's not, but it looks to be bad play calling because you're going so fast. And if you go on 100 miles an hour, you snap the football, and you can see the running backs at East Carolina, like Ole Miss, they're coached. You're tackled, you get up, and you run and give the football to the official. Spot the ball, get lined up. Another one-word call at the line of scrimmage. Hey, we're running this play. Boom, and we're gone. All right? It's a fast tempo. Now, the best explanation that I've ever gotten, that I adopted about tempo in offensive football, okay? This goes back, there's a little bit of football history here. Rich Rodriguez, that name ring a bell? Rich Rodriguez came up, and he was initially the offensive coordinator at Tulane. That's the first time I became aware of him. And he was Mr. Tempo. This was before anybody was doing this. And we played Tulane when they were doing this. They had a quarterback, I think his name was Sean Hill, something like that. But let me tell you, he was good, and they beat us badly. I think it's the only time I ever lost to Tulane. And they beat us badly. And they tempoed us. It was 100 miles an hour. But here's the analogy. In this day and age where everybody is kind of used to it now, and defenses have adapted to their own one-word checks, to fastball football, Here's the analogy. I'm a big baseball fan. If you go watch a pro baseball game and they bring out a Nolan Ryan that's throwing 95 miles an hour, he's going to go through the first round of that lineup, the first 9 batters, pretty efficiently. The second time he goes through that first 9 batters, he goes through the lineup again. The second time those 9 batters come through the lineup, you're going to see a hit or two. If they leave that guy in the game and he gets down to the 7th, 8th, 9th inning where he's into the 3rd or 4th cycle of going through the lineup, that 95-mile-an-hour fastball now becomes routine. And it's going to get hit 450 feet over the center field wall late in the game. The offensive players in baseball will adapt to the 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Now, that's a matter of fact. So in talking to defensive coordinators, what did they really fear? Okay, and I'm going to interject something else here. In the Ole Miss model, formations, there's only about 3 formations that a defensive coordinator's got to be alert to because he's got to make his call as fast as the offense is making their call. It's a 2-by-2 set. So you just imagine 2 receivers to the right, 2 receivers to the left, and a running back and a shotgun quarterback. Well, that triggers 1, maybe 2 defensive calls that are ready on the defensive call sheet. It's a 2-by-2 set. Check it to this. And they've got 1 blitz ready for that too. Maybe 2. Okay, but they're one-word calls for the defense, which is just as simple for them as it is for the offense. Okay, hold that thought. Now, Ole Miss runs a play. They run back, and now what shows up at the line of scrimmage? 3 receivers to the right, 1 receiver to the left. That's called a 3-by-1 set. You know what? The defense has 1, maybe 2 calls ready to go for the 3-by-1 set, and they check. Here we go. We're lined up. You can snap the ball anytime you want. We're lined up. You're lined up. Go ahead and snap it. So there's minimal amounts of confusion. What used to create a ton of confusion with teams that played football really, really fast doesn't cause as much confusion as you would think in this day and age. They have an empty set ready to go. You come empty, we're going to check. Okay. Now the empty set surprised Appy State the other day, and it scored. It was an explosion play. The Holy Grail that I've talked about. That was wonderful. It was a defensive bust. I looked at the film. The Mike linebacker didn't carry the tight end down the middle of the field, which was his number 1 assignment in cover 2. It was his number 1 assignment. The Mike linebacker didn't carry the tight end. When he didn't carry the tight end, guess what? He was open down the middle for an 80-yard or 60-yard, whatever it was, touchdown, and there you go. But they had the check. They didn't miss a line. They just didn't execute on the defensive side of the football. So let's hold this thought. What do defensive coordinators really get concerned with? And I'm talking about tempo here. The best way that I used tempo, and I kind of grew in, I never did use a high tempo. We snapped the ball quickly when I was the head coach at East Carolina. We got in and out of the huddle very quickly. I remember we had, in about 10 years, we might have had 1 time where we had what you call a too much time penalty on the offensive side of the football, and I lost my religion because that's a controllable event. You can't do that to yourself. We never had too much time penalties when I was calling plays. We got the play in, we got the line of scrimmage, snapped the football. Okay, we operated at a brisk, organized pace. I didn't like going up there and snapping the football when I wasn't quite sure how the defense was lined up. I know that. I was very resistant to just running up there and snapping the football. Some teams did that. I didn't ever do that. But back to this day and age, teams do it routinely. Defenses do it routinely. They know how to line up now. But in talking with defensive coordinators, and we adopted a 5-play series in NFL Europe. And we called it red ball. We had a red ball series of plays, and we just simply called it play 1, play 2, play 3, play 4, and play 5. We had 5 football plays, all of them pass plays. Okay, and they were all out of a 2-by-2 set. And here's what it gave me as a play caller. Sometimes my offense was stale We were struggling. We weren't crisp. And I had a tool at my disposal to jerk a knot in those knuckleheads and get their attention and make them play fast and pay attention. I'm talking about my own football team. So I would simply get on the headsets. I'd be frustrated. I'd say, hey, Rohan, red ball 1. Well, when he heard red ball 1 in his headset that he had in his helmet, he would simply yell red ball 1. We'd line up in a 2x2 set. Everybody knew what red ball 1 football play was, and we'd snap the football. And whether it was successful or not didn't bother me. I'd just go to red ball 3, red ball 4. We might go a whole series in red ball, and it was bang, 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 bang. And most of the time it was successful, and we would move the football. The next time we would come out and it would be our turn to come play offense again, I'd go back to regular and change the tempo back. And the analogy I'm making is the best pitchers in baseball, they can throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You know what else they can do? They can snap off an 82-mile-an-hour curveball. And then after that, they might snap off about a 75-mile-an-hour three-finger changeup. Go into the batter's box and try to hit that. You never are comfortable. You're always semi-guessing. And that's the analogy that I've embraced and used through NFL Europe. And then when I coached some spring league football where I had total control, that to me, and in talking with some of the competitors that I competed against after the seasons, they would mention that every time, that that was tough. That was tough. Because it would come out of nowhere and then it would disappear and then it would come back again. It's the 95-mile-an-hour fastball. It's the 82-mile-an-hour curveball and a 75-mile-an-hour changeup. Tempo on offense can be used as a pitching mechanism rather than simply trying to confuse and overpower. That's just simply an old play caller's commentary on tempo. Give me a phone call, 252-561-4263. I'd love to hear from you. We'll be back on the other side of this break.
It's bow time. It's not just football season. It's tailgate season, and that includes every kind of football, whether it's got goalkeepers or goalposts. The kick is good! Because it doesn't matter where or how you tailgate. When you've got crispy chicken and fluffy buttermilk biscuits from Bojangles, your tailgate is better than great. It's legendary. Head to Bojangles and order your tailgate box with boldly seasoned chicken, fixins, biscuits, and legendary iced tea today. It's bow time.
Hey folks, Coach Steve Logan here, asking you to support the life-saving mission of the Atlantic Beach King Mackerel Tournament this October. This event helps raise needed funds for the fire department's purchase of life-saving gear that could save someone you love.
Join Bojangles, Window World, Flatlands Jessup Insurance, and Linda Wright Real Estate
as we raise money to save lives. Sign up for the Atlantic Beach King Mackerel Tournament or simply make your life-saving donation at WeFishForLife.com.
Why just be a customer when you can be a priority? At North Carolina Farm Bureau, we're focused on your specific needs. That's why we have local agents working for you in every county across the state, offering competitive rates and fast, friendly service. It's more than insurance. It's the kind of treatment you deserve. Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
In Greenville, contact Bill King at 252-413-8850. That's Bill King at 252-413-8850.
Hey, Pirate fans, take a trip, consolidate debt, update your home. Whatever you're planning, a personal loan up to $5,000 can help. Coach Logan here from my friends at National Finance Company. With NFC, you can get cash now. Loans up to $5,000, same-day cash, and fixed monthly payments. If you need to borrow money, trust the company that has been helping Carolinians for more than 50 years. National Finance Company. Apply at any of their 24 North Carolina locations or at nfcmoney.com.
Homeowners in Eastern Carolina know that we get a lot of rain and roof leaks can lead to major issues with your home. Wells Roofing and Gutters is the name to remember if you have problems like Karen, a homeowner in Pitt County who says she found Jim Wells from his many online positive reviews.
crew came out, gave me an estimate, gave me a discount for being a veteran, fixed it, and the way that they cleaned everything up is like, I really appreciate that.
Call Jim Wells at 252-227-8403.
Get back to work, back to play, and back to the everyday with Orthopedics East and Sports Medicine Center in Greenville. Ortho East specializes in advanced care for patients with osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, debilitating joint diseases, and total joint replacements. Schedule your appointment today by going online to orthoeast.com or by calling us at 252-757-BONE. And remember, our weekend extended care clinic is open from 10 to 2 p.m. for walk-ins. Orthopedics East, official team physicians of ECU Athletics.
Hey, it's me again, Gray Fussell, fourth generation winemaker at Duplin Winery and proud alum of ECU. I'm looking forward to Pirate football and, of course, tailgate. I love to see you bring your favorite Duplin wine to your tailgate, tag us on our Instagram or TikTok, and my dad and I will pick our favorite photo from each home game. A winner will be chosen, and you'll get a basket of our best Duplin swag. So get your Duplin wine from your favorite store or come see us at one of our wineries. Go Pirates!
Medlin Chevrolet is your trusted Ayton dealership. Medlin Chevrolet has made their home in Ayton, serving Pitt, Lenoir, and surrounding areas for 7 years. Because of local support and dedicated employees, we are growing. Just breaking ground on our brand new service facility to serve you even better. Medlin Chevrolet has an incredible pre-owned vehicle inventory. Our staff are courteous and service-minded professionals that provide value and integrity Monday through Saturday. Find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle today at Medlin Chevrolet, Highway 11, Ayton.
At Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, our goal is to turn everyone we talk to into a customer for life. It's a fundamental difference between us and other agencies. We aren't trying to just sell you something. We're asking questions to understand your situation so we can find a solution that fits your budget and your needs. It's a partnership aimed at protecting the things that matter most to you, like your family, your health, your assets, and your time. Our customers don't see us as salesmen. They see us as partners in problem solving. See the difference for yourself. Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Now,
go for it every time.
Back into the Logan Zone, brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, National Finance Company, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles on 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3. Here's Steve Logan.
Tell me, baby, now what you gonna do when the whole round world falls down on you? When the ties that bind start to come undone from the lies that you lied and the games you run, and you don't have me and you don't have a clue. Tell me, baby, now what you gonna do? I said, tell me, baby. Won't you tell me, baby?
Back in the Logan Zone. Folks, I know it's still summer, but it's not too early to think about the cold temperatures coming in a few months. In fact, if you want to save money on your utility bill this winter, now is a great time of year to get your house ready. Head over to GUC.com and look for ways to save no matter what time of year it is. Greenville Utilities, proudly powering the Pirates. I spoke to the utilities company out in, where was that? Winston-Salem? A couple of months ago. We had a great time out there. Great conference. Really enjoyed that. Good people. All right, we got a caller on the line. That would be Al. Appreciate you calling in, man. What you got going on?
Hey, Coach, Pirate Al.
Yeah.
Being the quarterback guru, Coach, you've always been. I was just curious if there was a quarterback that's ever played the game that's got the attributes you're looking for: arm strength, touch, leadership, temperament, everything you're looking for. Who would have been the quarterback that's played the game that you would have most liked to coach?
Well, I mean, you know, I was raised on Joe Montana, and then I watched the next level, so to speak, come along in Tom Brady, and you know, those two jump right off the top of my head. You know, I was a young coach in my early 30s, and I jumped onto the Bill Walsh train. I've kind of told this story before. I was the offensive coordinator at the University of Tulsa. I think I was 28 years old. I wasn't even shaving. And I don't know how I got that job. But anyway, it happened. And it was my job to score points. And we were a split-back veer offensive football team. But in the meantime, I was watching San Francisco 49er offensive football, and it was revolutionary because Bill Walsh was throwing the football a short distance and having people run a long way with the football, which was a different way to go about things. And I kept saying to myself, my quarterback could make that throw. the little shallow cross or the little halfback option route and those kinds of things. And so I began to teach myself the basic parts of that offense off of film. And of course, who was I watching? I was watching Joe Montana. And, what they put together at the 49ers in the early 80s, and through the 80s into the 90s, it was just magic. And it transformed football. And so, Joe Montana and the things that he did and the way that he went about his business, that would have been really special. And I'll tell you what was really special on a personal note was becoming the quarterback coach at the San Francisco 49ers, which was always a, kind of a fantasy for me. And lo and behold, it happened. It ended too quickly, but it was special. Working for the 49ers was really, really special and a memory that I'll always cherish. And it's an outstanding organization. They give you everything you need there to win. And, when you got a short leash, you got to win now. And we had some issues that I don't want to get into. There were just roster issues. We were tearing down the roster and weren't given quite enough time to rebuild it. But they did get it rebuilt, and you see the result of it now. But, the quarterback thing, I can tell you this. I'm just like every other coach. I'm about as good as what I'm coaching. And I'm not much better, but I know that in my journey as a quarterback teacher, I was blessed, lucky, good, a combination of all of that with the young men that came my way that I got to coach. And, and that goes all the way back to the University of Tulsa with kids you never heard of. They didn't go into the NFL, but I had a young man at the University of Tulsa, Richie Stevenson, that was my first West Coast guy in the laboratory, and he was fantastic. We had so much fun, and we set passing records at East Carolina at Tulsa University back in the day. And from there, the next time I was coaching quarterbacks at Mississippi State, I had a young man named Tony Shell that again was in the early stages of the West Coast laboratory with me, and we were heavily outmanned in the SEC. But week in and week out, we went out and irritated the living daylights out of, an inside baseball story is one of the ways that I got my job at East Carolina through Bill Lewis. When Bill Lewis was hired, Bill Lewis was the defense coordinator at Georgia. I was the offensive coordinator at Mississippi State, and we played each other in 1988. And at the end of the game, Georgia beat us, I believe it was something like 35-34. And my little quarterback, Tony Shell, in the early stages of my West Coast laboratory, threw for close to 500 yards against Bill Lewis. I didn't know Bill. Bill didn't know me. But after that season was over, we were all fired at Mississippi State. Bill got the head job at East Carolina, and he called me on a cold phone call. Amazing. But it was because of that football game. And that's kind of how things started for, my East Carolina journey. And, but, you come to East Carolina, and I walked into Jeff Blake. He was already there. And, again, I put him in the West Coast laboratory, and you saw what happened there. It was an explosion. And, Jeff went on to be an all-pro guy. And, from there, we purposefully recruited Marcus Crandall, and he came in and picked up the mantle and was fantastic, and off he went to the CFL for 12 years. And from there, I recruited David Garrard out of my football camp. And, by that time, I knew what I was looking for. Through, a myriad of experiences, I knew what to look for. And David came in and picked up the mantle, and off we went. And then, off to NFL Europe, we go from there. And I'm handed Rohan Davey, and he's a NFL Europe Player of the Year. And from the next year, they handed me a young man named Dave Ragone, which Pirate fans will remember was a starting quarterback at Louisville in the 90s. He was a fourth-round draft pick with St. Louis Rams. And, he's NFL Europe Player of the Year for me. So, you got to be good. You got to be lucky. And, Lord, was I lucky. We got another caller on the phone. Is that Frank?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Did Frank bail on us?
I'll
Philip,
look into
got
it.
Frank or not? Okay. Try to get Frank back. But anyway, little quarterback talk. That's how it goes. So we've talked about, let's shift gears And let's get into what happened this last week with the local fireworks. And we'll get to East Carolina pretty quick. But, the UNC thing, just a couple of comments about each university and their journey so far. This buy the quarterback thing that I talked about last week on the show, everybody ran out and bought a quarterback. And, of course, UNC went out and bought the Texas A&M quarterback. And what does he do? He plays about 2 snaps and breaks his leg. So they're down to a program kid named Connor Harrell. Connor Harrell right now is booking along at a 57% completion rate against low-level competition. And right now, UNC is undefeated. They've had one meaningful football game that they should have lost, a missed field goal by Minnesota, gave the UNC a victory. They're going to play James Madison this week. So, I mean, it's amazing how soft that schedule's been. And as soon as the James Madison game is over, then they've got Duke, Pitt, Georgia Tech. They get into the ACC end of things. But right now I'm suspicious of the quarterback situation at UNC. I think they're playing a little bit better defense. I don't know that this quarterback, and I talked about this last week, I think he's a first and second down quarterback only. I think if you can get the University of North Carolina into third down 7+, I don't think this guy is going to hurt you. He'll convert some of them, probably mostly with his feet, because what I've seen so far is he's a look at the first receiver guy, pull the ball down and run, and he's good enough athlete to do that, but I don't think when the competition level goes up away from James Madison and University of North Carolina Central, which I think that's who they played last week, I think that he's going to get run down. We'll find out. But UNC, that's their current state of affairs. That takes us to Duke. Duke's got the quarterback that I really, really like, Malik Murphy, and he's made some big-time NFL throws. Duke is undefeated, and Malik has run along at 63% completion rate, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I've mentioned this before. The touchdown-interception ratio has got to be 2-to-1 to be manageable. If you're going to throw 24 touchdown passes, you can't be throwing more than 12 interceptions. That's only manageable. If you throw 24 touchdown passes, you need to be down around 5 interceptions, 5 or 6. You need to be in that 3-to-1 category to begin to really impact your football team in a positive way as a quarterback, which is one of the things that's hurting East Carolina at the present. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay? But, Duke is undefeated. They got Middle Tennessee State. Looks to be a manageable football game. And then after that, they're going to crank up. They've got University of North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Florida State, and here we go. They're back right in the middle of the ACC. And then, more truth will come out, as they say. That takes us to North Carolina State. All right? I could talk forever about what's going on over there. This has really become interesting. Coach Dorn had high expectations. I don't really think it was Dave Dorn. I think the press blew it. They got all, jacked up about Dave Dorn winning his last 5 games last year. And I read the names of the teams they beat last year, and it was the ACC group. It was Duke and Wake, and it wasn't Duke. Duke beat the pants off of them last year, but it was Wake, and they had the big win at Clemson, and down the road they go, and it was good, solid victories. I give it. But the red flag that was raised for me, and I watched the game intently last year, was the bowl game. I thought, well, if North Carolina State's been playing good football, they're a good-looking football team. If they really want to, let's go watch this bowl game against Kansas State. Kansas State's kind of like North Carolina State. They're a good, solid program. And North Carolina State couldn't beat them and didn't play very well in that game, in my opinion. And I thought to myself, same old North Carolina State. I'm not falling for it. Well, they go and they get this young man from Coastal Carolina. Now, here's a news flash. And this gets back to me saying a couple of shows ago that this new era of college football, these head coaches that now are in a roster management mode more than a player development mode, these college football coaches are going to begin making NFL general manager decisions. And again, I had so much to learn when I walked into the NFL from it's just a different thing. And the roster management and buying and selling football players and plugging in holes and patching holes that are evident in your roster. Well, that's what college coaches are doing now. Well, this little piece of information came to me. Dave Dorn went out and got the Coastal Carolina quarterback and evidently gave him money to come. And he's a good little quarterback. And he was playing, a level below big boy football. He's playing big boy football now. But here's the piece of information that got to me. Grayson McCall is now out. He walked off the field last week, hurt. There was never a moment where you went, oh, my God, he hurt his leg. He hurt this, and off he goes. No, it was at the end of a series, and suddenly they're walking him to the locker room. That indicates he had a concussion. And they have yet to publicly announce what the injury is. I don't know what it is. I haven't heard it. But this piece of information came to me this week that Grayson McCall missed the last 5 games at Coastal Carolina last year due to concussion issues. Sports fans, I got news for you right now. If you're a general manager and you're in charge of buying a quarterback and you start shopping where it's a young man that has had concussion issues, that will get you fired. That will get you fired. Quick. I've sat in too many draft meetings, and when a young man's name comes up and you're considering drafting him and you're getting all these opinions, they've got everything on that kid. And I'm going to tell you right now, in the NFL, if a young man has had concussion issues at the collegiate level, it better be the best football player on the planet, because I'm telling you right now, that's a 7th round draft pick at best. You're not going to spend any capital on that guy. It's too dangerous. You can't do that.
Now look at here now, baby, calling what I was riding high.
Anyway, I'm going to talk some more about North Carolina State, and then we'll get into East Carolina when we get back. Y'all give me a call. I'll drop what I'm doing and talk to you about anything. 252-561-4263.
Well, the water done rolled up the road, rolled most everywhere.
At CCS Equipment Sales, we're proud to be your one-stop certified Takeuchi construction equipment dealer. With more than 25 years in business, we understand the value of your time and work hard to provide solutions for you. From landscapers, grading, concrete, and land management contractors, whether it's Takeuchi excavators, track loaders, wheel loaders, and a wide range of attachments, we'll get what you need when you need it. Give our Aiden location a call, 252-712-1033, or visit ccsequipment.com.
Get ready, Greenville. Jaggers is going to open a Memorial Drive in front of Academy Sports soon. What are you excited to try? And what sets Jaggers apart? Everything, and I mean everything, is made from scratch. Burgers, chicken, and salads like you've never tasted. Shoestring fries, too. It's a fun environment. You just wait. If you haven't been to Jaggers, you just have to taste it for yourself. Nothing is prepackaged. You're going to love Jaggers. Coming soon to Memorial Drive in front of Academy Sports in Greenville.
I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
Did you know that GUC's electric rates are the lowest in Pitt County? GUC's average residential electric bill using 1,000 kilowatt hours per month with load management is $21 lower than the investor-owned utilities and $34 lower than the local co-ops. In fact, GUC's average electric bills are still $10 lower than they were 10 years ago. Low rates with high reliability, that's the value of public utilities. That's the value of GUC.
Hey folks, Steve Logan here. Hot or cold, Wilson Roads Heating and Air Conditioning has been in the keeping you comfortable business since 1961 on Hooker Road in Greenville. Steve Rhodes, second generation, gives each customer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Wilson Roads is an independent trained comfort specialist dealer specializing in new installations, home replacements, and service agreements on all makes and models. Go online at wilsonroads.com and finance up to 60 months on qualifying equipment. Hot or cold, get the job done right. Wilson Roads, you'll be comfortable in no time.
Remember the days when you could go to your favorite butcher shop and get your pork chops or steaks cut just the way you like them? Well, you still can. Acre Station Meat Farm on Highway 32 in Pinetown, north of Washington, is Eastern Carolina's traditional butcher shop. Acre Station is where you can get your order cut the way you want it. The best sausage, bacon, and pork chops and steaks you'll ever taste. The short trip to Acre Station is worth the drive.
At Acre Station, you just get that good, friendly service you just can't find anymore.
I guarantee it's the best sausage and bacon you'll ever eat.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
As fall approaches, two things come to mind: football and cooler weather. This is Rachel Davis with Advanced Mechanical Heating and Air. We wanted to thank you for the trust you have put in us this summer. Before you know it, cooler temperatures will arrive, signaling winter is on the way. Don't wait. Prepare now for colder temperatures by scheduling a tune-up. Give us a call today at 252-355-9191 or visit our website, advancedmechnc.com.
Anson Belt and Buckle offers a micro-adjustable, holeless belt, giving you the perfect fit every time. As an ECU alumni-owned business since 2009, Anson Belt is proud to be the official belt of East Carolina Athletics. Looking for a new belt for yourself or a special pirate? Visit AnsonBelt.com to see why over 30,000 customers have given their Anson Belt a 5-star review. With dozens of materials to choose from and thousands of possible combinations, you'll find the belt for every occasion, especially game day, at AnsonBelt.com.
Coach Steve Logan wants to hear from you. Tweet at Steve Logan Show or call 252-561-GAME to jump into the Logan Zone on 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Youngster here I've admired for a long time. Great player, and I'm glad he's on this show. Pat Donahue.
This is a tune that has a whole bunch of licks that I stole from Chet. Not going to pay him any royalties for it, but I will say thanks. Every night I go downstairs and amuse myself. What for? With a little record player sitting on the basement shelf. I got my guitar out and there's some licks I want to get. I'm sitting in the basement stealing from Chet.
There you go. Stealing licks from Chet Atkins. Lord have mercy. I'm easily entertained, as you can tell. We got a caller on the line, and that would be Frank. I think he's back with us. Frank, are you there?
Yeah. Tell Henry he needs a new phone system.
Well, I think Henry's listening right now, so you tell him, and let's all complain together. We'll get new phones. This is a management problem. What you got going, Frank?
Management. Yeah, I want to relate. Remember old Louis Grizzard? He once used a little story of what do the Atlanta Braves and Michael Jackson have in common. Now, this was in the late, early, maybe mid-'80s, before he died. They all both wore gloves for no apparent reason on one hand.
That's for those of you that don't.
Why have you? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
What I want to get to is why do uniforms now have pants that are Bermuda shorts with knee pads that don't even cover the knees, don't cover the thighs either?
Frank, I'm going to tell you, that is interesting that you bring that up. And I watch this now because my entire coaching career, right up to the very end, I think the last time I coached 49ers was 2015. the officials would come on the field pregame, and they would fine the NFL players hated knee pads, and so did the college players. But the NFL players would raise those knee pads up as high as they could possibly get them, and then they'd get fined on Tuesday from the NFL because they were too high and didn't cover their knee and blah, blah, blah. And at some point, after I got out of the game, it became obviously the officials and the powers that be gave up. And the players are now allowed to cut their pant right below the thigh pad. And, hey, you're on your own. And,
but they still That's against me.
It's a different day and age. And I will say this, that if you're playing, and I used to, when I came to East Carolina and I became the head coach, particularly after I became the head coach, we rarely went out in full pads. Rarely. And I used to show our football team pro football games and how the really good athletes, pro football players, they're not on the ground. They play the game behind their helmet and shoulder pads, and they play up off of the ground. And at the end of any pro football play, there'll be a couple of guys on the ground. There'll be a ball carrier, maybe a tackler or two. Everybody else is up. You don't see piles of people around the line of scrimmage because the athletes are so good on their feet. And I'm saying all that to say that, if you're playing the game properly, then protecting the knee is not all that big a deal. Now, in the interior line, it was mandatory under my administration that you had to play in knee braces because of getting hit from the side. You could blow your MCL and all those other things that happen to offensive and defensive linemen. And we saved many a knee by doing that. The other thing that was mandatory in the Logan Zone when I was coaching is my quarterback, after Mark Crandall got hurt, and this is a classic quarterback injury, it's the front leg of the quarterback. Your right-handed quarterback, the left leg is your plant leg. This is where you are when you're bringing the ball over the top of your helmet to throw it. That knee's extended and it's exposed, and a nose tackle rolls into it, and you're out for the season. And once that happened to me, I said, that's my fault. And from then on, David Garrard, all the players in NFL Europe, Matt Ryan at Boston College, day one, you show up to my meeting, you have a knee brace on your left leg if you're a right-handed quarterback. Dave Ragone had one on his right leg because he was a left-handed quarterback. But anyway, the injury thing and the knees in the NFL, I don't know. I don't know where that's gone, but it's something that went right past me. And I'm with you. It amazes me. All right. So we talked about
by the way,
North Carolina.
By the way, I'm one of Harry Sloan's students who got the pilot's license from Harry.
Really? Well, good for you. Well, just don't crash in a bean field like I did with Harry. Okay? You tell him I said.
We talked about that many times.
Frank, I appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks for the call.
All right, thanks.
You bet. Okay, so we are, I talked about the North Carolina State deal. Now, they're in an interesting situation now. They brought in this C.J. Bailey kid to finish the game last week. He did a really nice job. The coaches did a great job. You talk about play calling. They brought that kid in off the bench. And I'm going to tell you something. This kid is 6'6", and they said he weighs 200 pounds. I got news for you. This kid is so skinny, if he doesn't jump around in the shower, he won't get wet. I mean, it's the skinniest football player in the NCAA. And I'll be interested to see if he's going to make it through the season without getting hurt, literally. I mean, if he turned sideways and stuck his tongue out, he'd look like a zipper. But he's talented. But the coaching staff did a great job. This kid came in, and all they did is throw bubble screens and let him get his feet on the ground. Then he put a couple of balls downfield that were okay. I was a little bit surprised. I didn't see a lot of arm strength, but that was a small sample size. He should be able to whip a football around as long and lean as he is. But he's going to be interesting to watch. Now, the bad news is this kid's going to have to go start the game at Clemson. That is not what he needs right now. He may be an extraordinary specimen. He can go out there and handle the pressure. He's a true freshman. And this is going to be a real must-watch for all the football fans locally. And, of course, I know the North Carolina State fans are going to watch that thing. But that's going to be a real interesting piece of the journey for North Carolina State to see how this kid handles the Clemson game. Because after Clemson, you got Wake, Syracuse, Cal, Stanford, Duke. I mean, all of that is manageable. Okay, all of that is manageable for North Carolina State. So anyway, that was really, really interesting. Now that brings us to East Carolina. And I know there was wailing and gnashing of teeth to the loss, to App State. But, quarterback, the Garcia kid, who I still think, if you're buying and selling stock, I think it's a buy. He was 18 of 28, 226 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, everybody's going to go, yeah, the 1 interception. I think there was 5 minutes left on the clock. East Carolina's got a chance to go win a football game. And here comes the interception that had been avoided up until then. Every interception, you got to perform an autopsy. What happened? Why did it happen? There's a million questions to ask, beginning with the play call. Okay? The call that was made was it was an Air Raid 101 passing play. It's called a deep Y over. Now, whether or not it was technically that for this particular system, I don't know, but the concept was exactly that. And imagine this, if you're the quarterback. You had a split end to the right, and he was in charge of running a takeoff route and occupying that deep corner. You got to visualize this with me to understand what I'm talking about. In the meantime, from the quarterback's left, there came a deep over route aimed at about 18 yards that was going to run underneath the takeoff route by the wide receiver to the quarterback's right. So if we've got that pictured, 99.9% of the time, that corner will run with that takeoff route. And it actually wasn't a takeoff route that East Carolina had. I don't know what they called, but I can tell you what the kid did. The receiver to the right of the quarterback, he ran a post type of route. And what that corner from Appy State did, he felt that deep crossing route coming across, and he passed that post route to the free safety and just simply squatted down, and there was no way on earth that I would have been critical of the Garcia kid for making that throw. When he let that ball go, he was throwing to a spot where that deep over route was going to come open. And that corner shouldn't have been there. He should have been chasing the post route. Now, if I was criticizing, and I've been down this road, Lord of mercy, have I been down this road. In the NFL, when you design that football play, you don't run a post route. And I don't know what was coached at East Carolina. This could have been a total bust by the receiver. Okay, so again, I'm the last guy in the world that's going to be critical. I'm just going to simply talk to the fans and tell you what I saw. In the NFL, the receiver to the right that was in charge of clearing out that area, that is a very delicate process. You can't simply run a takeoff route and run to the outside of the corner. If you do, the free safety will drop down and cover the deep over route. And if you're not really a football fan, you're not going to follow this conversation, but I don't care. I'm going to make you listen to it anyway. If that wide receiver to the right of the quarterback runs a hard post right to the free safety, the corner will drop off and cover the deep over route. So the defensive secondary is in great shape if the wide receiver runs an outside takeoff or a hard post. What that receiver to the right side of the quarterback has to do is run what's called a take-two post. Take two. You got to occupy the corner and the free safety. How do I do that, coach? Well, you go right at that corner's inside shoulder, and then you break, but you don't break hard, but you break enough to split the difference between the corner and the free safety to where you threaten both of them. By threatening both of them, the deep over route now has grass to run to that's unoccupied. That's the theory of the play. Now, there's a third and fourth option to this football play. Should you run into what's called a quarters defense, and that's too technical to get into on the radio. Okay? But what I'm talking about is what happened on that particular football play. It was not so much a bad play by the quarterback as it was a great play by the defensive back from Appy State. And I saw it happen in real time. I was sitting on the couch watching the game, and I just went, oh, my gosh. I haven't seen a college corner diagnose a play that play. It's like the number one play in college football. I haven't seen a college corner diagnose a football play that well. I mean, that kid saw that thing coming from a mile away. Now, and one of the reasons why is because the number one receiver broke a hard post. He may have been coached to do that. I don't know. He may have been coached to take two. But I know that in the NFL, that particular route is discussed ad nauseum in the film room between the players, the coaches, how to run the route. Did you take it too sharp? Did you take it too not sharp enough? And it goes on and on and on. And there's a lot of, I'm telling you, a lot of tension in NFL film rooms about that particular route. It's a take two post. You got to take two of them. And that's what happened on that football play. And it changed the game. But like I say, there's the autopsy of the play for you. And once again, I'm going to need a chalkboard before this radio show's over with. And that changed the game. But it was a great play by the defensive back. The kicking game from East Carolina, having said all of that, it was a -4. You know, you had the field goal, makeable, missed it. You got an extra point. East Carolina's missed 2 extra points. That's not okay. And I don't know what's causing that. Okay, but that's not okay. Extra points are valuable. Every point matters. And, you know, -4 in the kicking game, guess what? It's a 2-point football game at the end. Cost you. It's tragic. East Carolina right now is 42nd in the nation total offense. 432 yards a game. Not bad. 27 points a game. Okay. Not quite good enough. In this day and age, you need to be at 30 and above. But I think they'll get there. And this show is almost already over. And that's all we got on East Carolina. But I'll tell you what I do. Somebody tweeted in and wanted to know about how in the world Liberty has become Liberty in such a short time. It gets all the way back to the beginning of this show. Jerry Falwell, a forward-looking president of the university, and money. And I had a very close friend working at Liberty when they started that football program, and here was the mandate. Go win and tell me what it costs. I'll get what you need. And all of a sudden there's Liberty, top 25 program. Why? Forward-thinking, aggressive leadership. Does that sound familiar? It's all about leadership. I got to go. I'll see you next Thursday.
Wear your colors with pride, whether it be ECU or any of the high schools in Pitt County. Stadium Sports on Charles Boulevard has all the merchandise and tailgating gear for the season. Stadium Sports